Welcome, everybody, to the S&S Proven Performance Podcast as we start to talk to our vintage builders who have been part of our 2025 program. On the show today with me is Xavier, Muriel, and Mike Beland. Xavier is from Providence Cycle, Mike from A1 Cycle. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hello.
Guys, I'm going to jump right into some questions here. I want to get going on this right away. Whoever wants to go first can go first. Why did you accept my offer to be part of the Vintage Tour? What does that mean, Mike?
It means Xavier's going to talk first. See, like the Brady down. See?
Because
you're supposed to look up. I'm going to look down, you look up. Look up.
Exact opposite. You got to go like this because I'm above you on my screen.
On your
So go.
Because on your screen, Mike, you were saying you were going to go first.
It's like Hollywood Squares. I'll look down at Mike.
I don't know if everybody knows Hollywood Squares, Xavier. They might not be as old as we are.
Or the Brady Bunch. Yeah.
For sure. All the kids are like, "What's that, man?" I think like everybody else that you asked, the initial response was a resounding yes. You know, I mean, 1, it's an honor. 2, it's a privilege. And 3, to be amongst the builder lineup that, amassed is huge, man. Not to mention the fact that S&S has been the staple for a long time for the proven performance, which has been, on everything that you guys do. So at first the thing was like, okay, yes. And then you start to go down the line of things that you want to build. I mean, or would like to showcase a motor. And, I've said it before, watching the original one on a tour bus, and that the fact that those guys couldn't take apart their motors. They couldn't touch them. They went from the box to the bike. And that was the first question I asked you when you asked me, well, yeah, okay, can't assemble the motor and do what I would love to do to an S&S motor. And when you said yes, I'm like, I'm in. And then came the experiences of like, oh, that's what those guys were talking about when they do this and this. But, for a guy who watched all that stuff on a tour bus and who's used a lot of your motors in the short time that I've been doing this in the industry, it was a no-brainer, and to be along with Mike and Chris and Brian and Chip and Teach, Kevin Teach Bass. I mean, those are guys that I've known since I got into the industry and have been around them consistently. So to be able to be alongside those guys in that tent when they were all, unveiled in Daytona was, for me, a huge honor. And we all did it. We finished tight build because nobody understood that, watching all the biker build-offs for however long we've all been doing it and speaking personally, like, well, they couldn't have done that in 30 days or, not thinking about the time period that we had, which wasn't it was 90 days, right, Mike? From basically like the goods to like, okay, motors in the house, let's go. Mm-hmm. My biggest thing was like, every time you put something out for somebody else to do, chrome, paint, polish, leather work, you roll the dice, man, on that commitment that you made not happening. And it's not your fault. And nobody cares about the why excuses and this guy and that go. No, you didn't meet your commitment. So for all of those bikes, man, for everybody that did what they did, to all of them be there, man, that's a huge thing. So, and I'm so grateful for it, man.
Well, let's go to Mike.
I've been in the industry almost 30 years, and I don't get picked for much because I'm kind of outspoken and just do my own thing. And it was awesome to be picked to be part of this unveiling and the rebranding of the vintage motors. But to be picked, thrown in the group with the current builders was awesome. They're all my friends anyways for a long time, but to be on the same team and unveil bikes at the same time was really cool. I really thought everyone's going to build like skinny long choppers and like hipster stuff. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to build a drag bike. And nobody built a skinny long chopper, which was crazy. So next time I will have a hand shift, foot clutch, 50-inch long front end skinny bike, because I really do enjoy building that stuff because it's one stuff. But I did wanted to bring the drag flavor and mix the old with the new, and I'm happy with the way it came out, and I'm happy the way it's being presented under the truck. And It's really cool when your bike's in like a sectioned off area with its own little placard to say what's on the bike. It's really neat. Really good exposure for me and for S&S. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was thrilled when you both accepted, because I knew having you two guys as part of the SH series, the opposite styles that would come out of it would just be dynamic in how different what you've both built would be. And there goes, oh, Mike's video is back. Awesome. So who wants to go first to actually talk about your bike and what was behind it and key points that you think matter? So X, why don't you go while Mike sorts out his video, because it looks like he's going to be jumping back in.
You know, like Mike said, I think that everybody was expecting the vintage series, you know, invited builders to build. I think what everybody really wanted to do was build something that was an personality. And, you know, Mike is a speed guru, so it made absolute sense that he would go that way and do and create, and along with everybody else. I was kind of like in the middle, because thus far I've never built the same bike twice, and not by choice, but just by it's either a chassis or it was a customer that wanted this or da. So, you know, I learned a lot of the hard lessons right up, much like my musical career. But when you asked me, I had just what Mike said. I was like, okay, I'm going to build a chopper, a hand shift, no front brake, because it's a shovel. And then a dear friend of mine was like, what's that Boyce frame? And I'm like, it's a Boyce frame. So I started to think about what I want to see if somebody was going to build something that was a little bit outside of the box. And I immediately went back to all my stacks and street chopper, hot bike, you know, cycle, all of those that had that mid 2000s Pro Street look. And all the names have been around so much, Bobber, Pro Street, but vintage, you know, performance. I just wanted that look. I wanted something that if you went to a 2001 Easy Rider magazine and you opened it up, it'd be something that Donnie Smith or Don Hotop or some of those guys, those would have built, because that was popular then. And it made no sense to put a shovel in a Pro Street, but then it made all the sense in the world, because I had already said, like, when you told me, yes, you can disassemble it, I was like, okay, it's full on polish. I'm going to build the absolute shovel that I've always wanted to do, but could never do for myself as a self-funded personal project. It was always for another customer. And one thing led to the other. And when I started to drop the motor into the frame after tons and tons of cutting to the frame, and it's that thing like all of us talk about. It's the idea that you start with, then the next bolt and the next cut, the next weld, the next bracket, and it just takes its own form. And I kind of was a little apprehensive at first, because I didn't know if it would be received the way that I would want to walk into the S&S tent and go, wow, look at this array of completely different motorcycles. And again, anybody that I've ever spoke to has said that, you know, the fact that they walked into this tent and saw 6 completely different motorcycles was the greatest selling point for the company, as well as each individual builder, because it showed how vast, you know, our personalities are. But, you know, like Mike shows up on a blown performance chopper with a drag bike right next to it, and everybody else had, you know, baggers. So there was so much buffet, if you will.
That's a great word.
For me, I wanted to have, first of all, a bike that just, one, I'm going to beat the crap out of it, because I've never had a bike that I could ride as aggressively as I've wanted to. So now with that set up, and I wanted something that was just, you know, aesthetically a beautiful bike, but all surrounded around a fully polished 93 S&S shovel head. And
so I'm gonna ask you one more question, then I want to go to Mike.
Yeah.
Your bike is beautiful, but if there was one feature on the bike you wanted to make sure people took notice of, what would it be? I know you built a lot of it, but like, if there's just one thing that you're like, I love that I did this.
Well, I'll tell you,
in a Boyce frame.
I know what stands out to me, the handmade foot controls.
See, so coming from a fellow builder who understands the idea of, we waste nothing. We use everything that we possibly can, and we make it. We don't buy it. And so I appreciate that. I would probably have to say the fact that it has the only wide tire Providence Cycle Worx swing arm on it, made for FX. So, which ironically now has been in discussion about moving forward with that. So, but yeah, that's probably one of my, because I was never into the parts business, and apparently now I am. So
I'm going to jump right into, Mike, why did you want to be part of the tour?
It was an honor to be chosen by S&S. Simple as that. Staple industry. Use your parts forever in racing. Solid stuff. And we sell a lot of your products through my shop. And we've always used them. Quality's great. And it's a no-brainer. Go with the blue.
Go with the blue. I like that. All right. So now we have to get you caught up because Xavier told us all about his build. You told us a little bit about his build. Tell us about your bike, especially the story behind it.
When I got the call, I wanted to do a Truett and Osborne frame. And the man was called Bonnie Truett. He built a lot of frames for drag racing in the 70s and 80s, so we call the bike Bonnie. And I put a feeler out on Facebook, and someone sent me a Facebook Marketplace ad that was 5 years old for that frame in Ohio. I'm like, there's no way this guy still has his frame. The ad's from 5 years ago. And got a hold of the guy, and he was 70-something years old and raced in the 80s. And I was sitting in his garage still. So I had a friend grab it and bring it down and chopped 50 years of bad decisions off it, and welded some good stuff on there, and dropped the S&S motor in with a modern 5-speed and a BDL belt drive and some death metal mid controls, and welded a turbo to it and sucked through the S&S carb and modernized it a little bit with some carbon fiber wheels and a modern Hayabusa front end, threw some Dorothy Shoes paint on there, some metal in there. It's kind of like a 70s drag bike, but with modernized wheels. So just a mix.
It's very cool, and it gets a tremendous amount of attention. And again, seeing those two bikes next to each other, right? People just go, wait, they're both stock 93-inch shovel heads? Well, sort of stock.
Stock-ish.
Stock-ish.
Did you have to do anything? Did you have to do anything to the motor to put the turbo on it, or did you leave the internals and everything as is?
We left the internals alone, and we've got it set at 10 pounds. Pretty much any motor survives at 10 pounds of boost. But the S&S motor, steel cylinders and 6 head bolts, where normal motors only have 4 head bolts. So it actually probably will hold a lot more. We'll find out later.
You'll find out later. All right. So, Mike, what's your favorite feature on your bike?
I think the frame, because the history of it. Bonnie Truett tanker frame's hard to come by nowadays. And it's just a classic look. And you don't realize how little it is to stand next to it. That's one of the cool things. It's so tiny,
So I'm working on, Mike, and this is kind of directed at you because I think it's funny what you've told me. I want everybody else to hear about it. I'm working on the potential of us doing a charity ride in Sturgis. You have a pretty small gas tank.
Yeah, but we have a 2-gallon backpack we can plug in.
But that's a safe backpack, right? It's aluminum, right?
Yeah, we're going to put beer cans around it to protect it.
Oh, man. So, guys, obviously we got to unveil the bikes in Daytona when we got to interact with people. I sort of know the answer to this question, but has anybody tried to buy your bikes yet?
No.
Yes.
Good for you, Xavier.
Yes.
How many people want to buy your bike, Xavier?
I mean, a few. Let's just put it that way. But it's not going anywhere. She's not going anywhere for quite some time. I am so proud, and I'm sure Mike is as well. Once again, back to that deadline that we actually made it across the finish line. That I want to enjoy her for a hot second before she goes away. And two guys have already said, "Well, why would you want to sell her?" Because that's what I do. I build motorcycles and I sell motorcycles. How else am I supposed to put food on the table? Because that bug cherry, like it used to, despite out there in the world. So, I wanted to do something just specifically centered around Mike's bike. I wanted to have some drags at the track in Sturgis because I wanted to see Mike ride that thing. Just the only thing that Mike could, which is wide open, and just watch that thing go, and go, that's a shovel. That's how it used to be, so.
Yeah, when I get it back, we're definitely going to get a time slip on it.
We saw it ride at the Thursday night little party that we had.
Oh, boy. There you go.
When we did a burnout in the showroom of J&P Cycles in Daytona.
Stunt double.
Yeah. Guys, how was that Friday when we unveiled the bikes? How was that for you guys with all the people in the tent and the questions? And
it was really neat. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, all the press was there, standing up, talk about our bikes like we just did, and it's really fun, really cool.
I thought it was really cool to see all the people that actually came out, not only to the private industry one on Thursday, but the public on Friday morning. How many of all of the fellow people that are in the industry that just stopped by and were there for quite some time and went through each bike, and I'm sure they had their own little things to say about it. But the fact that they actually came out and were part of it was a really cool thing.
Guys, this is great. I want to ask.
One thing I want to say is when you build a bike for yourself and not a customer, you build it to the best of your ability, and it's good when other people and other builders and they can't say anything about the quality, only about the color or the style, or they can't say, well, this bolt's wrong or this is wrong. They only can come up with, well, I would have done this color, or I would have used original wheels. Like, they can't have an actual critique of the bike other than style or flavor or opinion,
right?
Not an actual mistake on the motorcycle. Six of those bikes check that box.
All 6 of the bikes were incredible, and I can't tell you on a personal note the level of stress that dropped for me Thursday afternoon when the 6th bike actually showed up 2 hours before the industry unveiling. I might have been carrying a little bit of stress for the last 3 weeks leading up to that event.
Friday morning you were lighthearted and bouncier and peppier, and I was like, oh, so there's the other side of Howard that I haven't seen that, because this is my first exposure with it. And then I thought about it, like, you're trying to corral 6 guys, 6 different places with 6 different agendas while they maintain their own businesses, and you have one focal point, which is to get these bikes along with your builders across the finish line. I was like, that's a task, my friend. So
it might have been it was a lot less, I will tell you guys, it was a lot less stressful than the S&S 50th anniversary, where it was times 50. And I can tell you that morning of the 50th, there were builders that were still rolling bikes in, attaching parts as we were rolling into the display. So we were better than that. We were way better. One last question, guys, before we end this. Now that you're part of, and what I consider to be history, you're part of the S&S Tour Builders group. Anything you would say to people if we do another one next year about participation, or what it would be like, or what to expect, or advice, anything like that?
Expect to make better friends with the guys that you're building bikes with.
Yeah. I would say, if you're going to accept the invitation, be a team player. Nothing else will do, and build it for yourself. Do not build it for anybody else. Yourself, and be a team player. If you stick with those 2 things, you'll be all right.
Do you guys want to be included in next year's builder chat if we have one?
I think all 6 builders here judge next year. No, I'm kidding. No. Yes. I would, and that's a cool thing. You put all of us in together, all the ego there to some degree, but everybody's willing to talk about one thing, the motorcycle, and this and that, and that's one of the coolest parts about all this, is just getting to be around each other and talk motorcycles, because we love motorcycles. Hello. So.
Yeah, and just for people watching, we started a chat among the 6 builders when the 6 builders were locked in. And if I could ever figure out how to extract an entire chat chain out of a phone, it would make a cool book.
When it all started to take, Mike and I, like right off the bat, when Mike got the invite and he texted me, we were talking, he's like, "Ah, yeah, 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 yeah." I called it the cackling hen, because that's what we were, a bunch of cackling hens. And some guy would post this and, oh, that's cool. And then, oh my God. And then this would go on for hours all day. And I'm thinking, all of us have work. We have customer work. But we would stop because on my text thread, my phone wouldn't go off. It wouldn't ding. Because it happened so much that I would stop at some point in the day around 2:00 in the afternoon, Texas time, and I would look at this feed of like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I was like, this is awesome, and just sit there and laugh like, oh my God, look at he's making that's bitching, or or like, God, I suck. I better get going here, so.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time today. This is obviously going to be a big part of the S&S Proven Performance podcast as we move forward. We'll be meeting with the rest of the builders, and I think it was a great opportunity for people to learn about you guys, about your bikes, and the pictures that we've shown during this podcast. I'm sure people will want to know more about the bikes still once they see those. So again, thank you guys both for being part of this, being part of the tour. And S&S thanks you more than you realize.
Thank you.